Hello, it's Walk Day Wednesday, and your host today, aka Mark Ferro, aka Fuzzy, is going to lead you today. So hopefully everybody's having a wonderful day. Bright blue skies here in Denver, with the temperatures, probably going to be in the 70s. Again, not too tough to take on these days where we're all sort of stuck inside and uh, trying to keep our wits about us. So I'm rocking the old school Epic logo. So surprisingly, it fits on this old fat body. So anyway, um, for those that don't know, again, I'm Mama Lou's husband and Train Track's father. So again, intimately involved with Epic Experience from the beginnings in 2012, and it's been a it's been quite the ride. I'll just say that again from its early beginnings to uh, wondering, gee, is this really going to make it? To here we are 7 years, you know, beyond its founding and doing well, albeit in this day and age, with coronavirus and interesting things going on in our world right now, we're having to adapt, just like I'm sure everybody else is. So again, but the whole thing is to keep moving, keep going, enjoy the sunshine if you can, with some beautiful fresh air. Uh, the nice thing is in the neighborhood here, it's pretty quiet. There's nobody else walking, so I've foregone the face mask at this point in time, and even so, in walking, the the folks here in the neighborhood are pretty conscientious in giving everybody a wide berth and walking out into the middle of the street, or you know crossing the street as well. So it's been pretty nice because again, everybody here in the neighborhood is understandable of the situation. As I mentioned, I as Mama Lou's husband was sort of in the background of assisting as uh, she does things for camps, and so I've done things from a volunteer perspective of you know loading cars to unloading cars to cooking to driving to getting up early and making breakfast, etc., while up at camp. So that's those are some of the things that are going on right now. Just adapting to the situation. I'm doing some more work on the computer, trying to write some grants for Epic to make sure that financially we stay as healthy as we can, and continue on doing the things that we can for our survivors. Again, this is the new normal right now, and getting out and walking, and this allows us to again keep moving, which is something that obviously is important for everybody's health and sanity at this point in time. Just to get out, because obviously sitting at a desk all the time or just inside, uh, everybody can get a little stir crazy. So as you know, Train Tracks is um, my eldest son, and he was diagnosed in with testicular cancer. And I don't know, he was on, was it last week or the week before, and he had made a comment which obviously resonated for a lot of people. And from a caregiver slash parent perspective, I said, I understand. And that caused World War III in the house, in as much as Michael, really flipped out, and he was able to exercise his uh, uh, four-letter vocabulary at that point in time, which again meant, you know, yes, I was trying to say I understood as a father, but in reality, did I? No, because that was not my, sickness to go through. It wasn't my illness. So I could be there as a parent, but I didn't understand specifically what he was going through. And so again, shame on me. And that's been something that we've all learned from in moving, through this process. Our journey as well as caregivers, as support people, is something that is new to us as well. So anyway, this is like I say, Walking Wednesday, and we're just taking a stroll around the neighborhood to get moving. Um, from a parent slash caregiver perspective, as I said, um, you know, it's I'm the male in the household, very different than Nancy, who is much more wears it on her sleeve. Mama Lou, that is. I was much more of the call it the scientific mind, in as much as what's the problem, what's the solution, what do we need to do to fix it, and so that was very much on the surgical side. And that was, I don't want to say easy for me, but it was something very predictable at that point in time. Um, it's the after effect, which probably is the same thing that everybody else deals with is, you know, gee, I've been on this hamster wheel of diagnosis and treatment. And then all of a sudden they say, oh, you're done. And you can hop off that hamster wheel. And it's like, now what? What's that new normal that I have to be faced with? And so from a perspective of caregiver, again, was the first part very, very, shall we say, easy for me. The second part, not so much. That's where, how do I, as a parent, as a caregiver, as a father, then say, gee, I'm going to be here for you, or I can support you, emotionally, etc. So it's a different, from treatment to post treatment, very different. So coming up on some kids on a scooter, so I'm going to jog a little bit here to the left, so I don't run into them, and sort of stay on the grass. Again, I think everybody's dealing with the quote unquote the new normal of how do we educate our kids here during the with schools closed, etc. So I've heard more than one parent say, I'm expelling my child, but that's another issue. So hopefully everybody can still hear me as I'm walking around the neighborhood. Um, uh, Again, if we if I talk about Epic again from my perspective, I've been able to see Mama Lou with um, from days of frustration to days of joy and absolute, awe. I mean, it's incredible what this woman does uh, from a camper perspective, and that's as she says, her revitalization is going to camp and seeing the benefit that that can bring to everybody, and we're all having to, as we say, adjust our sails for this opportunity that we have in front of us now of staying at home, being sort of self quarantined, etc. And uh, what oh, and you're going to have to forgive me because my eyesight has always been poor, and now it's even uh, getting worse. So there's a little question that pops up, and I've got my reading glasses on, but I've got to get pretty close to see these things. So, but from a volunteer perspective, Nan, Mama Lou and I have always, shall we say, volunteered for things throughout our life to, be examples to the kids. And so when Epic started to think about doing something for others wasn't by any means a stretch for us to go out and cook, or to help to schlep things, from one place to another, to um, uh, to carry things, and again, just to do. And that uh, is something that we has been very natural for both of us. And there's certainly a sense of accomplishment and fulfillment in doing that as a volunteer. Setting aside caregiver itself, but just as a volunteer, to be able to go ahead and give back to people. And you know obviously, as somebody says, you don't necessarily start a nonprofit to get rich, because that's certainly not the case. And we don't do it for there's no issue about, hey, we're doing it for money. It's really the smiles that we get from people, just the ability to hear a thank you is incredible. And to be able to see what happens in somebody's life, from beginning to end of camp. And as somebody once said, um, what he witnessed was transformational. And just being at camp, the ability to see people move from the first day that they get there, or that I meet them at the airport and drive them up in the car to camp, till the day that we're having to take them back down the hill, um, to go home. You know, the 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 relationships that are built, the smiles that we see on people, um, the can-do attitude that we see is spectacular. And so, we know that everybody's dealing with a different circumstance, but again, the opportunity to see some smiles on people's faces and joy as they conquer whatever that may be it, um, going down a rapid, or sledding down a hill, or whatever that may be, uh, and seeing the smiles is pretty spectacular. And I harken back to this winter before COVID started, and seeing some folks sledding, and I was at the bottom of the hill taking pictures, and the screams and the yells of excitement and I did it, were incredible. People that on the first try going down the hill were very hesitant, thinking, "Oh, gee, am I going to get hurt?" Or "I don't want to go fast." To the second, third, and fourth time, balls to the wall, excuse my language, but just going for it, to uh, get down that hill as fast as they could and enjoying themselves. So again, it's that experience as a volunteer that keeps us going as well. So so there was a question as far as what's it look like as a parent, having to take Michael back in for scans and tests, etc. And for after surgery and whatnot, uh, he and I would take more than a few trips to, as we had his appointments, to go out to his oncologist. And again, for me, I don't want to say, I didn't want to worry myself, until there was something to worry about. And that was just me. I went out there with Michael. We visited with Dr. Maroney. Um, he had to get his blood drawn. He'd have to have a scan, but I couldn't be consumed with what ifs. I had to deal with the here and now. Is there an issue now? If there wasn't, great. I mean, we move on, we keep going, and I don't want to say no harm, no foul, but it was something to rejoice that everything is good. Um, and certainly the news of, hey, we don't need to see you every 2 months, now it's every 6 months, And then from every 6 months to every year, that was always encouraging news. You know, if it was, hey, we want to watch this, you know, it was okay, we're going to watch it, but it wasn't, oh, we need to do something right away. So again, maybe that was that was my circumstance, and that's the way that I was able to deal with it. And again, that was for me to keep my sanity going, and uh, hopefully was, whether it's the right answer or the wrong answer, it was my answer. So, um, you know, that's shall we say, my story. Um, Again, if you can see, pretty few people out. Again, the blue skies of Colorado are spectacular, and hopefully, I'm getting a little color on my chrome dome here, so to blend in with the gray beard. So, um, what else? What else? Um, as we said, with the COVID-19 going around now, Epic is had to adjust its sales, and and you know we're Mama Lou and I are, shall we say, sitting at a desk for a period of time, but her ability to uh, get on the computer, and be it for yogas or exercise or happy hours, which are all things that are sponsored via Epic, that you can see on the invitations via Facebook or whatnot. Again, give her an uplift because she sees the smiles on people's faces, and again, that's the reason we do it. So, um, uh, and today because this is a new platform for me, and it's like, oh, can I talk and walk at the same time, which is always difficult. I chose, I'm not going to bring a dog with me on this journey. Um, Mama Lou, right now we're up early to cook some um, barbecue chicken. We took that out to the cancer center at university, and she took Mr. Jessix with her, so I don't have him that can stroll along with me. So I'm out on myself without our other hound, Disco. So um, a few kids playing in the background here with motorized scooters or cars. Obviously, not having to worry about school right now. I'll see if I can. You wave. Sorry about that, everybody. I'm trying to get the neighborhood engaged as well. So, are there questions that other folks have that uh, I can try to answer, or um, shall we say, put my 2 cents in? Somebody asked, what's my favorite thing to do at breakfast, or cook at camp. Um, you know, I'll I'll just say there's nothing quite like throwing a couple of packages of bacon on the flat top at the 7W Ranch, and start hearing that sizzle away and start smelling the bacon. So uh, that's probably that's probably number one. Number two, boy, I'll just say I just started. Well, this year started trying a little dessert which is just a carrot cake. That was kind of fun. But in reality, the cook behind it all is Mama Lou, who was sort of gives the plans the meals as far as what we're going to do from Monday through Friday. Um, Again, I'll get up early and do that breakfast, but a lot of those other things are, I'll just become the sous chef and take direction from somebody else. So um, I'm heading home. Again, walking in the neighborhood. So um, I'm going to start wrapping up, and again, encourage everybody to just get out and move. I know there's Semi has set up the step challenge, so that I think is still ongoing. But again, it's all just about keeping it, keeping our sanity together, getting out, um, enjoying enjoying the weather, enjoying some fresh air, keeping that social distancing going, and um, and living beyond. So with that, again, I want to say thank you to everybody, and have a wonderful Walking Wednesday.